Hello Simmers and welcome to Explain. We are in Rotterdam International Airport, Rotterdam-The Haegue International Airport that is, with the X-Craft's E190, an airplane that was released last year. It wasn't complete, the VNAV Speed function was still missing. I bought the E175 back then, but today news came out that the developers have released a public beta covering also steep approaches, ILS auto tune, and VNAV speed for the entire fleet. Steep approaches are only available for the E170 and E190. So today I bought the E190 as well to see if we can fly the London City ILS approach with this little airplane. Well, with all the content nowadays, mostly focusing on the PMDG 777 and the well, I expect some footage on the MD-11 that has been released for MSFS today as well. But anyway, I thought, well, let's put out some explained content again. It's been a while. It's been very busy, both professional and private life, so didn't have too much time to create videos. So I hope this one works out in one take and I can put this online. If it is, you will be hearing me saying all this. But anyway, well, as you can see, the E190 has a beautiful exterior model. Q8 Pilot did a video quite extensive on this add-on when the initial version released. But it's been rather quiet around Q8 Pilot. I hope he's all right. I really appreciate his content. But well, in his absence, I thought, well, I might just do a quick hop from Rotterdam to London City Airport with this airplane to see how the new beta works out. It is a beta, it is a work in progress, so we cannot expect it to be perfect, so we have to be mild in the judgment. I don't intend to judge this add-on at all right now. But like I said, with the release wave in MSFS with some high quality add-ons, I thought, well, let's pull out some Explain content. So here it is. Explain 12.1, an immense increase in visuals from the developers at Laminar. It's really a joy to use this platform now. And well, let's just jump into the flight deck, see if I can remember how this thing worked, get it ready, and then fly the flight to London City Airport. Like I mentioned, a short flight, 38-minute flight time. With a distance, air distance of 185, that's 185 nautical miles, ground distance 166 nautical miles. So really short one today. That means we have a low cruise altitude, only flight level 160. And I can demonstrate why. Here's the flight plan. Take off Rotterdam in a southwesterly direction, turn right, fly over the Tweede Maasvlakte, that's the artificial island with the new Port of Rotterdam extension on it. Cross the North Sea to Jacco, turning left to the south over the Thanet region, turning right for the ILS into the London City Airport. Expected runway 27 ILS approach, which is steep, and that's where the steep approach feature comes into play. So that's what we are going to do. Already set the weight and balance. You can simply, it is linked to your SimBrief account. So you can download the flight plan from SimBrief. It will derive the loadout information. Then you can just simply press load plane and the airplane is loaded. Let's just start her up. So batteries on. I thought we have GPU online, if I'm not mistaken. No, we haven't. Now we have. It started. GPU in use. Cancel the audible warning and let it fire up. It's been quite a while since I last flown an Embraer, and what I can remember is that the flight management system is very different from a Boeing, so we'll jump right into that, see if we can program our flights. So here we go. Let's just focus on this one for now. Flight plan, route, let's say we are flying from Rotterdam and we like to go to London City Airport. And the expected runway is 24 at Rotterdam. Let's see if we can request it from SimBrief. I'm not really sure. Flight plan list. No flight plans available. Back to route. Right, in that case we are, what did we say? City Flyer 36 X-ray. So that's Charlie Juliet 36 clear 36 X-ray. Activates. Departure. Well, it doesn't say. Do we have the Somel 2 Bravo departure? Runway is 24. And then we have the Som 2 Bravo Yankee. No, we want the Somi 2 Bravo. There we are. Apply. And that is to UpNet. Then we fly the Lima 980 to Xamon. So Lima 980 to Xamon. And we're already on the arrival then. So we can say EGLC. No, that's invalid. So let's say activate. Program the arrival. Arrival runway will be 27. ILS approach. Approach transition. Let me just check my Navigraph charts. That will be the LAV 1 Juliet. With the star being Xamon 1 Charlie. That's over here. So runway 27, Xama 1 Charlie with the LAV 1 Juliet transition for the ILS approach runway 27. That is correct. Apply and activate. So now we have the route in here. Som 2 Bravo to AppNet, Lima 980 to Xamon, Xama 1 Charlie via Jacko, LAV 1 Juliet ILS check. That is correct. And what I just don't understand is that it says Lima 980 to Xamon and then Xamon 1 X-ray to Xamon. Just have to check how this works out. We might have to make an alteration to the flight plan. Somel, UpNet Xamon, Logan Jacko, Nonfa Babku, Lima Charlie Echo 212223, and then Rafsa, check. Gapgi, Updev, LCE07, Top du Lafno, final fix 27, runway 27, check. Okay, this is correct. So the flight plan is in here. So let's go to the perf init page. And let's get the flight plan, fuel reserve. Alternate fuel today would be 1108. Cruise altitude is 160. Can I also make this flight level 160? No, it doesn't take that. All right. Anyway, zero fuel weight is 40.4. There we are. And takeoff center of gravity. Let's see if we can find that in the weight and balance section. Takeoff is 21.8. Zero fuel weight is 38.7. All right. There's a bit of a difference between the OFP in SimBrief and the airplane. So we make the zero fuel weight 38.7 and then takeoff 21.8. So 38.7. And what did we say it was? 21.8. Block fuel 3723, that is checked. Gross weight 42.4. Well, okay. And next. Climb speed 270, cruise 290, Mach 0.8. Descent speed 270, that is fine. Takeoff data set. Takeoff 2. Anti-ice off. Flex takeoff off. Temperature 16, that is correct. I think it's rather chilly in the Netherlands for this time of year. Yeah, 17 out there. FMS takeoff 235. Let me grab a chart of the airport real quick on my other screen so you won't be able to see it, but for now 236 is the runway heading. Well, 235, okay. And the wind, we have to take a look at the wind information here in Rotterdam. The wind is 201 at 7. It's a dry day, so that is good. I think I'll settle for a flap 2 takeoff. Let me just quickly run some takeoff performance in SimBrief. Calculate. Oh, flaps 2, alright. Thrust TO1. Okay, that is fine. Takeoff. Right, V1 should be, according to SimBrief, 136. V2 138. And V2 140. Pitch trim 1.1 up. And VFS is not giving, but let's say that is 160. Cruise altitude 160. Transition altitude out of Rotterdam, that is not 180. The transition out of Rotterdam is, I think, 3000. Yes, it is 3000 feet. There we go. Flight level 160, that's changed correctly. And in the cruise 160, 290, that is fine. Then descent 270. Transition level into London City is 6000. And the arrival runway 27, that is apply. Activate, alright, so fine, that's the route again. So basically, we're good to go. We have the flight plan loaded, we have the takeoff speed set. So let's go to the radio. Transponder, let's make that 2000. Alright. Go from standby to TARA as soon as we are near the runway, so that should be alright. Okay. Happy, let's close some doors. So ground services, close the passengers, close the cargo doors. Remove the ground objects, let's start the APU. Where was that? The APU on this thing. Oh, passenger signs on. GPU, APU generator, battery. Oh, APU, of course, there it is. So. So there's the APU spooling up. Let's make sure that the temperature doesn't exceed any critical values. But 450 at the top, that is very nice. That is well within the limits. APU is running up. As soon as it reaches 100% we can switch the APU to the buses, can remove the ground power, start the engines and be on our way. There's no need for a pushback on this airport. We can set the auto brakes to RTO. And we can also, that's what we have to do, set the yaw damper on. Where's my hydraulics? Auto, auto, auto. That's the fuel. Hydraulic, auto, 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 auto. Electric pump on. So speed initially was 160. Let me check the departure procedure. Let me bring that up here for your personal reference. So what we'll do is we'll take off runway heading 236, 235 on the MCP, turn right to Romeo Delta 158. Maximum speed should be 220 knots. And then it's a left turn heading 262 towards Somel. And let's see, there is no altitude constraints, but climb to 3000, higher level only when cleared by ATC. So initial climb will be 3000 on the MCP. So altitude select 3000 and heading select. Here is the heading number 235. There we are. So altitude heading is set. Let's check the QNH. Is 1007. So Barrow set 1007. And that is automatically linked on the first officer side, so that's good. APU generator is on. GPU is off. So let's remove the GPU. Takeoff performance is now also in the EFB. That's nice. So we want to take off runway 24, takeoff 1, flaps 2. Dry, the wind, what did we say? It was 2017. Temperature 16, QNH 1007. Enter compute. Analysis in progress. And flaps to 132, 134, 139, VFS 193. So those values are slightly lower than the calculations on SimBrief, so I'll stick to the SimBriefs one, and then 193 for the VFS. There we are. Okay, so having done all that, checklists, maintenance status checked, cockpit emergency checked, electric panel set, fuel panel checked, passenger signs as required, they are on. Fuel panel is checked, passenger windshield wiper 1 and 2 knobs are off. Let's see, where were the windshield wipers again? Oh, here they are both in the off position, so that is good. Hydraulic panel was set, air conditioning pneumatic panel was checked, passenger oxygen is checked. ELT switch should be armed. Where was that one again? Emergency light switch armed. That is checked. Let's switch the beacon on. Landing gear lever is down. Engine 1 and 2 start-stop selectors are in the stop position. That is checked. Speed brake lever is closed. Manual deployment lever for the ram air turbine is stowed. Sled flap lever is positioned. Circuit breakers are checked. Battery 1 on, battery 2 auto. Checked. Voltage was checked. ICAS messages checked. Display. GPU button is, well, okay, we've been there. That's the power up. Before start. Passenger sign set. Pressurization panel. Let's see. Oxygen is auto, air conditioning. that is all set to auto. Flight instruments cross-checked, oxygen mask checked, thrust levers are in the idle position, the fuel quantity was checked. The McDo is set, trim panel set 00. We have to set our trim 1.1 up. Where is my flight control? There it is. Trim. Oh, here's the pitch trim. 1.1 up. Checked. Dorsal windows are closed. External lights, red beacon switch on. Emergency parking brake as required. Parking brake is set. Checked. APU valve is open. Let's start the engines. There we go. A little bit of a hiccup there. Look at those clouds. X-Plane really made a leap forward in the visuals department with 12.1. Okay, so number 2 is coming online. So close the guard and number 2 stable, start number 1. There we go. So number 2 is coming online. Right. 2 is stable, so the guard is closed. After start, ground equipment is removed, sled flaps 2. And flight control check. Full left, full right, neutral, down, up, neutral, rudder full left, full right, neutral. Let's see, status, plan. That is fine, map. TCAS, and we want the weather radar on this one. So that is set. Okay, that's a bit of a shame that you cannot set the weather on the left ND and the terrain on the right ND. That would have been my preferred setup. Don't know whether that's realistic or not, but I guess this should be able to set these two individually. So it's a bit of a shame that that cannot be done yet, at least. Anyway, let's continue. Strobe lights can remain off. Taxi. Nose and side on. Landing lights, we will switch those on when we get to the runway. APU off. At least I think that's Boeing logic. Probably wrong in the Embraer. But anyway, flight controls were checked. Alright, so let's release the parking brake. Apply a little bit of thrust. and then taxi out. So we'll make a right turn here, then left, and then another right onto taxiway Victor for the holding point runway 24. So runway 24, take a left turn. Ground speed is 10 knots. So we are able to make that 90-degree turn. Usually 10 knots is approximately the speed limit for 90-degree turns on the ground. If you have the more high-speed corners, you can stick to 14, maybe 20, but I would recommend 14. There's 1.4. There's a bit of a stutter in the sim. I guess that's 12.1 beta. Having done some flights in MSFS recently, I noticed that that platform has a lot less stutters. Alright, so on the straight, so we can accelerate. And now it's just basically a straight line all the way to the end of the runway. So nothing too spectacular here on the taxi front. So takeoff config.
Takeoff okay.
Is okay, that's good. I want to switch the flight directors on. With the speed not being 160 but 193. And here's the possibility to switch between Speedbugs manual and FMS speed, so that is nice. I'll just switch it to FMS speed for now. See what it does. It says we'll stick to 140, so curious to see what will happen. I haven't read any manual, so I might be making a big mistake. Maybe you can only switch to FMS speed once airborne. I'm not really sure about that. And seeing the FMS speed being limited to 140, I'm inclined to go back to manual speed 193 and then after departure switch to the FMS speed mode. Anyway, let's break it down to approximately 14 knots for this upcoming turn. We'll switch the strobe light on. We'll set the transponder to TARA. There's no traffic on final approach, so we can line up with the runway. Be ready for our departure.
Two, 4.
So let's set heading. No, let's set nav, LNAV.
On runway 24.
Check. Here we are. Alright, so the flight directors are on. We have LNAV pre-selected with heading as the active. For our vertical profile, I want VNAV guidance. And having done all this, let's set the landing lights on, taxi lights off. Before takeoff, brake stamps checked, ICAS checked, transponder TARA takeoff configuration was checked. So without further ado, let's see how this thing actually flies. We have the FMS selected as the source for the navigation, so as soon as LNAV engages, it should be following the route that is inserted into the flight management system. So release, let's see what the timer button is on this one. Chrome, that one it is, so here we go.
On runway 24, on runway 24.
Okay. Takeoff thrust is set, airspeed is active. $80 knots, cross-checked. V1.
Rotate. V2.
Okay, positive rate, gear up. Okay, LNAV is active. FMS speed. Autopilot is engaged. Flaps 1. And let's climb 160. Flaps up. Okay, so the speed to 10 is set. It is now correcting to maintain that speed. So 3,000 feet coming up. So altimeter standard is checked, passing 3,500. Tops, check. Right, so now we are on a direct heading towards Somel. We can dial up the heading buck. There we go. Speed is increasing, flaps are up. So sled flap retracted, landing gear is up. That's the after takeoff checklist completed. Okay, APU is off. Everything looks normal in here. Oh, wrong button. Altimeters are standard and cross-checked. Nose gear landing light can be switched off. We are over the port of Rotterdam area. This is the Tweede Maasvlakte. So this entire piece of port that you are looking at here. This is all an artificial island, reclaimed land from the sea where they built this massive harbor on. It's very nice. There's a visitor center. You can do a cruise through this port area. It's quite impressive. You have this massive container ships, and then you are sailing there in your little ferry, looking up at these massive ships. I've done it once. It's really worthwhile. But anyway, we maintain on this heading, and we are heading into some weather, but that should be below us, looking at the sky. And with the departure already behind us, once we reach 160, we can immediately start planning for the descent and arrival into London City. And what we can do already is look up a METAR for London City, see what the weather will be like. Let's see, what is the weather report? Auto wind 240 at 13 knots, varying between 200 and 270. Visibility clear, minor rain activity, broken clouds at 2200 feet, overcast at 3200 feet, temperature 18, QNH 1006. So slightly warmer than in Rotterdam with some light rain and some winds of about 13 knots. That is basically a nice challenge for our approach. Since it is a crosswind, sort of, and the estimated landing weight will be, I don't know, because the zero fuel weight was 38,730. We can expect a landing weight of roughly 41.2. So flaps 5, approach speed 135. Doesn't give me an auto brake setting. All operational reverse, no icing. I guess with the short runway in London City we'll use medium auto brake in combination with reversers. We have passed flight level 100, so the exterior lights go off, seatbelt signs off, stereo lights off. Flight level 160 coming up, speed 270. That speed is actually quite low. But that's because we are still climbing. We should be reaching cruise and then it should be higher. So speed, altitude. .160, and now the speed bug is up to 290 knots. Too early to set the auto brakes, but it is nice that when you move the auto brake switch that you get the landing gear, auto brake information, cabin altitude, the flap setting, etc. And when you switch it to off, all that information goes blank. Alright, so we are at 160. Let's take a closer look at the arrival into London City. As you can see, we're almost halfway the flight already. Nice and short, we like it. And we have to be Logan max 250 knots. So Logan. This is descent, flight level 108, doesn't give speed information. Alright. And then Jacko. Flight level 90 at 210. The 90 is correct. Let's see. Any other speed constraints along the route? Doesn't look like it. This is not in any chart. Let's see if we can find a transition chart for London City. Transition, Lufno. There we are. And we had the Lufno, which did we have? 1 Juliet, which is this one. So I want this chart as well. So from Jacko, LC23 9000, and Rafsa 6000, Gapki 6000, and LCA 07 4000, Lufno 3000. So let's see if that is correct in the FMS. So that's all 9000. Rafsa Gapki 6000, 4000 at LCE 07, and Lufno 2000 or above. And the chart says 185 and 3000. So let's make that at 3000. Activate, check. Okay. Descent 270, 2.5, transition 6000, that is correct. Let's go back to the approach speeds. Landing flap for approach. So clean speed 210. Flaps 1 at 180, flaps 2 at 160, 3 at 150, 4 at 140, and then flaps 5 at the approach speed, which was 135. Go back to the performance, landing, here we can enter the information. let's see, VNAV 130. Approach speed 135. Let's see if we have the other information on here as well. VAC is 159, VFS 190. So 159 and 190. Landing flap full. So it becomes different, 122, 127, 141, 190. So 122. .27, 141 and 190, so 141. Then 190 was checked. Alright, so landing speeds are inserted correctly. So we are now approaching our top of descent already. So our first descent will be to fly level 90. So let's select that one already. Altitude hold, speed 290. And in the descent we should maintain a speed of 270. Right. Now the FMS is reducing thrust, so it is reducing speed to 270 in anticipation for the top of descent, so that's nice. We're still in cruise. Now it's already going down to 250. That one I don't get, but that's because we have a speed constraint in the star, of course. Because we said that at Logan we should be at 250 knots. And Logan is the next waypoint. So that makes sense. We have the top of descent coming up. The glide slope is alive. We reset the altitude. So I'm quite curious whether it will go or whether we have to press a button or anything. No, it goes. So now we have started our descent, completely automatic. Let's check on the radio panel. FMS auto tuning is in place, and what we do expect for London City is a frequency of 11115, course 272. But it should auto-tune that. So I'm not going to bother with this right now too much. What we do have to make sure is that the correct heading course is set. And that course should be 272. But as long as the flight management system is my primary source for navigation, I cannot adjust the course, so we'll just leave it for now. But it is something we have to take into account further down the road. So for the checklist, auto brake selector is set, medium, and the landing data was set, and it's still there. So full flaps, approach speed 127. It's a steep approach, so I want to lose as much speed as I can before the glide slope intercept for energy management purposes. Let's see how this goes. Scenery in London will, by the way, all be Orpex. We have True Earth Great Britain South, as well as Orpex London City Airport scenery installed. So quite curious to see what that will look like, and especially the performance. Whether we will see massive stutters, etc. Right now, everything is running as it is supposed to be. After Logan at 250, it will start to reduce speed further to 210 for Jacko. Where we also have to reach the 9000 flight level 90. Let's put the passengers back in their seatbelts. Like I said in the beginning of the video, initially this airplane was released without VNAV Speed, vertical navigation, etc. So you had to do everything yourself using vertical speed mode, flight level change mode, setting the speeds. And actually that was quite a good exercise. As you can see right now with all the automation doing its thing, flying this thing is not too much of a challenge. You can get lazy by getting used to that, so I think it's a good idea to every now and then just don't use certain features of the automation in the sim. Do the mental arithmetics, etc. just to keep you sharp. It's also much more nicer and much more rewarding to finish a flight like that. You did your calculations right, you end up right, etc. Instead of just pressing two buttons and let the computer do anything. Of course, that last one is quite convenient, but I think from a simmer perspective, the older generation of airplanes where you have to do more of the calculations yourself, where you have to be more on top of the airplane in order to successfully complete a flight, is a much more rewarding type of airplane to fly in sim. Nonetheless, I absolutely adore the latest add-ons for the 777s. I have both the Flight Vector 777 beta as well as the PMDG 777. Well, they're just stunning pieces of software. Can't wait for the Flight Vector 777 to get the VNAV part in there. See how they manage to do that. But as it is already without the VNAV, it is a lot of fun to fly that 777. It's very immersive, And in terms of system depths, I think it is only second to the Hot Start Challenger, and that says quite a lot. Because the Hot Start Challenger still is the best add-on ever for any flight sim, in my humble opinion. No disrespect to any other devs, but that's just a league of its own. It's so challenging that I haven't even done video on it. Because after all those years, I still don't feel comfortable in it. What we have to do is we have to set our minimums. I always forget to do that, so let's try not to do that this time. So barometric setting 570, so let's make that barometric 600. We should have clear visibility. So let's see, we want to go to baro 600. There we go. Right, so now that we are over Nonva, we still have to maintain flight level 90 all the way down to Lima Charlie Echo 23. And once we make the turn to the right there to Rafsa, that is when we have to descend further to flight level 6,000 feet. As you can see on this chart, it says flight level 090 but 6,000, meaning flight level 090 is 9,000 on the standard QNH, and 6,000 means 6,000 feet on the local QNH. So we have to transition to the local QNH when we descend to Rafsa. So we end up at 6,000 feet on the local QNH. Meanwhile, we have reduced the speed to 210 without even having to think about that, so that's quite convenient. And we are coming up on the Thanet region over there. So auto brake selector is set, landing data was set, that was the descent checklist. And now that we are below 10,000 feet, let's switch on the landing lights, at least the wing landing lights. And have a look from the outside. It's a lovely little add-on. I'm highly addicted to the Zibo mod, but this is quite a nice add-on to fly short-haul regional flights with something else for a change. It's very easy actually once you get the hang of the flight management system. It's really easy to operate. But anyway, coming up on Lima Charlie Echo 21. Turning to the right for Lima Charlie Echo 22. We are. A little bit too much clouds to actually see much of the scenery below. So far it is still sea. Hope that we can see something of the land below us in the arrival. That would be nice, but with the cloud coverage predicted with an overcast at 3,600, what was it? 3,200. Don't expect us to see much of the scenery below. 3,600. The METAR just updated. So the wind is 240 at 11 knots, so that's slightly less. Clear visibility. Few clouds 1900, scattered clouds 2600 and overcast at 3600. Temperature still 18, QNH 1005. But nothing more to see than clouds for us right now. So FMS Auto is still on, that is good. Okay, there we go. So let's reduce the altitude to 6,000. Dial up the heading. And now the altitude constraint is switched to 6,000. We have set 6,000. And as you can see, we have a top of descent slightly in front of us for 6,000 over Rafsa. So again, only thing I did is set the MCP altitude to 6,000, the next constraint. And the airplane will do everything else automatically, get us down to 6,000 at that point. So let's see how it handles that. Now we have a steep approach switch in here. I'm not really sure whether this light should be on or off. So what I'll do is I'll see real quick if I can find anything about that in the manual. But I'll do that on my other screen. So steep approach system. Well, anyway, you can set it in here as well. So steep approach, E170, E190 line is 1000 in real life, and in our EJS allows the aircraft to land at airports where the approach angle is greater than 4.5 degrees. City airports 5.5, blah blah blah. Steep approach mode dynamically deploys the other two spoilers during the approach to increase drag and maintain higher N1 values during the approach. This is to minimize the time needed to spool up the engines in case of a go-around. Steep approach switch. In the central pedestal below the left, FMS is used to arm activate steep approach mode. When this switch is pushed, the steep approach mode is armed as seen by a steep annunciator in white on the top left. Alright, so steep approach is now on. When conditions are met for the approach, the annunciator is engaged, showing steep in green on the top left of the FMA. It automatically disengages when the aircraft touches down on the go-around mode is activated. Steep approach mode is manually disarmed, disengaged at any time by pushing the switch again. Right. It is available when the following conditions are satisfied: air data, AHRS, airspeed, electric gyro 1 and 2, hydraulics 1 and 2, throttle, roll control, pitch, steep approach with spoiler systems. Column position is valid, angle of attack below 10 degrees, at least one TLA is valid, the angle of attack signal is valid, steep approach is enabled, blah blah blah. So white is armed, green is engaged, amber transition from engaged to disengaged. We should see slat flap spoiler. We should also see steep in here. That's good to know. And here's a list of popular steep approaches. That's a really nice touch. But anyway, we have to focus. We are still at 9,000 feet, so something went not as it should be. So now we have quite a challenge getting to 6,000 in time. Let's just set the altitude to 4,000 immediately. Yeah, now the airplane is giving altitude priority over speed. So we are descending like a brick, but we're also accelerating. We should meet the Gapki constraint at 6,000. But I think we're going to have a challenge with energy management on the final parts of this approach. So let's see how that works out. This is why you always have to maintain your focus on flying and not read manuals when you are in a critical phase of flight. So that's demonstrated as well again. Anyway, we are entering the Thames mouth region. There's the River Thames. Should be on the path to final already, so we can set the heading to 272. There we are. Okay, so right now speed is running back to 210 again in anticipation for the top of descent. Path is still selected. I cannot arm speed brakes, so I assume that's done automatically. Okay, so up PEF, maximum speed 185. Let's see if it will make that constraint. Right now it doesn't seem to do much to reduce that speed. LNAV, VNAV path to 4,000. Yeah, now it is going. So we were in altitude mode, not in path mode, and then it maintains the current altitude. So that was my mistake. So approach speeds. Go. And basically I want to go down to 2,000 feet via the path. And I think I have to manually set the speed down, because I can't seem to set the speed in here. Cannot do anything with that. Let's see, maybe we can do that with the... No. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I will now disengage the FMS speed for my own incompetence sake, go down to 180 knots for energy management. And we also have to set our altimeters. That was 1005. There we are. 1005 on the altimeter, that is set. Passenger signs on. External lights on, altimeter set, approach aids. Well, they should be tuned automatically. ILSR. So what we'll do, let's see that we go down to Lufno. Okay, so flaps 1. And let's go flaps 2 and reduce the speed to 160 already. We're a bit far out, but energy management is key on a steep approach. And I'm no expert whatsoever, so I'd rather be on time instead of too late. Still VNAV path. After top do we should be descending to Lufno at 3000. Speed 160 down to 3000. And let's set the approach mode, localizer glide slope armed. And let's reduce the speed to 150, set flaps 3. Eight miles on the ILS, gear down. Reduce speed to 140. That is flaps 4. Let's put it on flaps 5 already. So full flaps and set the approach speed to what did we say, 127. So flaps full, steep approach is now green, so it's captured, so the conditions are met. Flaps 5, VREF set, auto brakes medium, exterior lights on, cabin is ready. This is not what it is supposed to do. Doesn't seem to capture the glide slope. Looks like we're high on the glide slope. Approach. There's the runway.
Autopilot.
Let's just disengage the autopilot. Oops. There we are, coming into London City Airport. Oh, this is a beautiful picture, by the way. Blimey. But we are way too high. At least it looks like we are way too high. I did something wrong with the approach modes, but that's my incompetence. That's probably not this airplane.
Throttle. Throttle.
Okay, so we have steep approach. We can have a pretty high N1. There we are.
1,000.
Check. What is our missed approach altitude, by the way? It's 2,000 feet, so that is set.
Approaching 27.
Check.
Approaching minimums.
Now we are a bit low.
Minimums. Minimums.
Continue landing.
500.
Check. A little bit slow. A bit more speeds.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30.
Check.
20.
Close.
10.
Multi-attitude.
4,000
What?
feet remaining.
Oh, I thought we were not even on the ground yet.
3,000 remaining.
Reverse.
Auto brake. 2,000 remaining.
So, 390 feet per minute.
1,000 remaining.
Not as smooth as it can be. But I'm quite pleased with my first London City Airport landing with this fun little add-on. I still have to do some studying, as you saw. But it is a really nice add-on. I also have to look at the scenery, because something is wrong with the scenery. I noticed there was a massive bump at the end of runway 27. Anyway, nose taxi lights on, strobe lights off, landing lights off, and radio transponder to standby. And let's start the APU. Retract the flaps, of course. And we'll have a look at that landing in a minute. Auto brakes off. Now where shall we park? One of the gates down here. Yeah, I think this one is nice. So let's switch off the taxi lights, turn right. Oh, that was a brake. Here we are. Welcome to London City. Let's see whether we can get a replay. It's been locked for 0.8 hours. So toggle replay mode.
Approaching minimums.
Okay, so I think this is a nice point to start our replay. Call me biased, but I just think X-Plane 12.1 still is an amazing platform. The visual quality of the sim really has made a leap forward. If they can manage to do something about the stutters, that would be really nice. Look at this. I mean, this is a pretty picture that we're looking at. I like it a lot. Now in here I noticed a scenery glitch. It looked like there was this massive... Oh, here it is. At the touchdown zone there's this massive drop in the runway. Wait a minute. Here. So there's something in the scenery that needs to be corrected. I have to look whether there's an update available or not. Doesn't really help with landing. But no excuse, I was poorly trained. This was my first flight with the E190 and made one of the most difficult approaches immediately. So, well, not perfect, but not too bad. We can walk away from it. I'm quite happy with it. Not too happy, but quite. But, well, it's a fun approach and it's a really fun add-on. And now with the FMS Speed working, I have to dive into the manual to see how it exactly works for the approach phase. Because I think that I still needed to switch from FMS to VOR to make the ILS work. That didn't work out quite well, but I think I corrected it quite nicely with manual control. But in order to make a Cat 3 approach somewhere, I really have to look into how that works. And well, I think that says something about the level of this add-on. I don't think it's die-hard study level, but you better keep your manual prepared to figure some things out. It's an Embraer, not a Boeing or an Airbus, so some things are different, but that also makes for a nice challenge. So anyway, that concludes this flight. If you like the add-on, buy it quickly, because right now it's July 3rd. There's a 4th of July sale on the store at xplane.org, and this add-on is now discounted. So yeah, at least when I make this video, if you watch it like in a month, that discount will long be gone. But if you are watching upon release, yeah, be prepared to pick it up if you want it. It's a 20% discount, so it's always nice. I like it. It's a fun add-on. It's a beautiful model, so at least it's good for screenshots, and it's really nice one to fly, and with the steep approach mode you can fly some challenging approaches. I will bring up the manual. Steep approaches mentioned: London City Airport, well that's what we just did, Lugano Airport, Sion, Chambéry, Eagle County Regional, Innsbruck, Marseille Provence, Aspen Pitkin County, Funchal Madeira, and Gibraltar is also mentioned with an angle of 5 degrees. So those airports can be flown with this airplane. It's well equipped to do those approaches. Anyway, I hope you liked this vid. It was a long time since I released one, so a bit out of practice, but if you like it, please leave a like on the video. If you have any tips, tricks, comments, questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section below. As usual, please do so in a respectful manner. We are all here to learn. This is by no means a tutorial. It was just a product, well, basically a review to see what the new features brought to this airplane. Anyway, that's it for me. Hope you liked it and hope to see you again another time on another video. Thank you for watching and bye bye.